Sorry, kill the momentum there. Gonna Die Greg hangs out on the fringes of the party, tapping his foot nervously to the punk song blasting from the amplifier in the kitchen. It is only June, and so everybody's still all like, shit man, I'm so sorry about Jenny. And Greg's all like, shit man, I'm so sorry about all of us. And he keeps dropping references to looming, aching mortality and adds a weird, anxious, end-of-the-world energy to everything like a better articulated YOLO. Pragmatic pacifist, drinking out of a red Solo cup in the back of the room, just thinks everyone's being silly for thinking so much about oblivion. He keeps calling everyone a maniac and a bastard like he was born into the Beat Generation, instead of just awkwardly appropriating their style by talking in long, rambling, run-on sentences and going on and on about naked lunch and getting drunk before midday and experimenting liberally with serious fuck-you-up narcotics that keep his mind spinning and his fingers twitching 36 hours even after ingestion. Pragmatic pacifist pushes pixie dust and preaches the power of positive thinking, and he's really into the missionary position, and that he likes his women bent over and praying to God in broken English. He swaggers around the party, bouncing from person to person, making faux shy talk with girls whose boyfriends are in the bathroom puking up blood, or in the backyard pissing their misspelled names into the snow, when finally his eyes fall onto Kylie. The first thing that he notices is that she is beautiful. It is the first thing anyone notices when they look at Kylie. She's a grungy-looking girl who works at the gas station on the outskirts of town. She has a lip ring and a nose ring and a ring piercing through the lips of her vagina. Her hair is dyed black, and she still dresses like she's trying to piss off her white, middle-class, Anglo-Saxon, exceedingly average parents. Pragmatic pacifist goes up to Kylie and nods towards Gonna Die Greg and asks all smooth like, "Do you ever think about death?" Kylie says all the time, and goes on to explain how some guy dropped dead at work the other day, and she found him in the bathroom, pants wrapped around his ankles, head knocked against the concrete, and his anus torn to shit like it was sent through a meat grinder. Pragmatic pacifist says, "Jesus," laughs and asks, "How the hell did that happen?" And Kaylee gives a playful grin, leans forward and says, "It's a mystery," in such a weird, sweet, oddball tone that pragmatic pacifist almost falls in love right then and there for reasons he cannot articulate. She goes on to say afterwards that she was interviewed by a police officer named Benson, who was very kind and took careful, attentive notes on his 4x6 notepad. When he stepped into the gas station, Kylie had asked, "Are you here about the body?" And he looked at her like he was looking past her skin and her face and her breasts and her legs, and at the person who was truly inside of her, because there was something about the way his eyes widened and his mouth curved into the shape of a smile, and he removed his hat and held it mournfully to his chest and said, "Yes, ma'am, we're here about the body," that made Kylie feel for the first time that there was really someone out there who loved her for her soul. She explains all of this to pragmatic pacifist, to which he laughs and replies, "Sounds like he likes you." They continue to converse through 2 rounds of shots and 14 song changes, until finally a pause in conversation leads pragmatic pacifist to ask, "Did you know that the inventor of the Segway died when he drove one off a cliff?" Speaking of Segways, what do you say we make our way to the bedroom? He grins as he says it, thinking that she will be so blindsided by the crackerjack nature of his wit that she'll get weak in the knees, wet underneath the panties, but instead she smacks him across the face, does a 180 and leaves the party and slams the door behind him. His immediate conclusion is that he has simply offended the deep-seated puritanical morals that her great-great-great-great-great-grandparents brought with them on the Mayflower. But the truth of the matter is that Kylie's uncle invented the Segway and really did die a painful, ironic, tragically funny death by driving off a cliff, and Kylie is not yet ready to laugh about it. Pragmatic pacifist rubs the spot on his face where her palm hit his skin, follows her outside into the night where he finds her smoking a cigarette next to the mailbox. He says, "Jesus, work crawled up your ass," and immediately slips the tongue when she kisses him. This is how their relationship begins, and it won't end until 6 months later, atop his tiny mattress in his tiny room in his tiny apartment, when he ejaculates onto her chest and she wipes off the jizz using a used tissue, catches him checking his text messages and says, "I'm sad when I'm with you," to which she replies, "Put a shirt on," and as she pulls the sweater over her naked shoulders, he says, "I think we should see other people." In the 180 days between their first kiss and that last sad hand job, pragmatic pacifist has good and bad moments. In his best, he pulls away from the touch of her lips, brushes her hair from her eyes, smiles and says, "You know you're beautiful, right?" And in his worst, he sneaks off to the bathroom to pop drowsy nighttime cold medication when she spends the night, because he hates it when she spends the night, and it is the best way to get through the night with her. And all night long, he has weird, violent, psychosexual fever dreams about Kylie, and occasionally he wakes up for real, and Kylie is awake also, and so they start fucking without saying anything, and sometimes he wakes up the next morning and he's not sure if it happened or not. In his best moments, he is attentive. In his best moments, he is present. In his best moments, he listens as she theorizes about Police Chief Benson, who interviewed her when she found the body with the torn-up asshole. She tells him about it late at night, wakes him up and says, "I just keep thinking about him. I think you really love me." And pragmatic pacifist runs his hands over her cheeks and says, "I really love you." And the next morning, he can't decide if it happened or not. 2 months later, right after Pragmatic Pacifist has said, I think we should see other people, right after Kylie has put a sweater back over her naked shoulders, right after she has cleaned up cum with a Kleenex, right after Pragmatic Pacifist ejaculates onto her chest, she starts shouting at him. She says, fuck you, asshole. She says, you prick. She says, you fucking fuck. She yells so loud, and he yells so black that the cops get called. Police Chief Benson shows up at the door and calms them both down, and he drives her home, and the whole time he's smiling like he really loves her for the intangible, untouchable, unphysical nature of her soul. When he gets to the apartment, Benson stops the car and walks Kaylee to the door, where she says, dejected, why does everything get so fucked? And Benson, being 15 years older, infinitely wiser, and often kind, sits down with her on the doorstep and tells her that it gets easier. Kylie smiles at him, and Benson smiles back, and she kisses him. Benson kisses her back, immediately slips the tongue and puts one hand on her waist and squeezes her right breast with the other. She whispers, let's go inside. Benson says okay, and as he stands up, his 4x6 notepad falls out of his pocket, flipped open to a page filled with doodles of Kylie's naked body, her name written on the bottom right-hand side, a little heart dotting the I. Kylie asks Benson, is this me? And Benson says, you're just so beautiful. Kylie says, Jesus Christ, sits back down on the porch and examines the drawing. She says, my tits don't look like this. Benson says, they don't? And Kylie shakes her head, dejected, looks at the ground. She thinks about Pragmatic Pacifist and every other guy who looks at her for her tits, her legs, her hair, her ass. She looks up at Benson, older, wiser, somehow more knowledgeable. No, she says, they look way less perky. Thank you guys so much.